Looking forward. Hmm. Hey, hey, Cody. Good, good. Thank God. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Hmm. 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 Because of you. Because Thanks for the invitation. Okay. Oh, cool. Okay, thank you. Sure. Okay, and then I hope you'll tell me about your journey also. This isn't a one-way. Okay. So, my journey. So I grew up in a family that was extremely artistic. Um, my mom was a preschool teacher and a painter. My dad was a woodworker, and professionally though he's a software engineer. So I grew up around like art and tech sort of intersecting. And then my brother is a musician, also does some like graphic design. So I grew up surrounded by visual storytelling, and obviously grew up watching a lot of cartoons and watching animation and the Disney movies. And then when DVDs were invented, which makes me feel old because I remember when DVDs were invented. Um, and they started putting the behind the scenes featurettes, and I got to watch those. I really just fell in love with the process of not just animation but filmmaking in general.
Nice.
And so I like to tell the story. When I was 7 years old, I went with my dad to Best Buy, and I went up to one of the employees and I said, I want the software that they use to make Toy Story.
The software that they use to make Toy Story.
And then Best Buy, the guy was like, that's proprietary, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you
Yeah.
don't have that.
It's like, yeah, of course, you could have that.
Right. So I was frustrated and um but not dejected. I went home and I learned how to animate in Microsoft PowerPoint.
Nice.
So you
That's a
can
good start.
yeah, so I learned like basically how to use vectors because you had like word art and clip art. A lot of clip art you could like double click into it and dissect, like you could change the hair, you could move things apart, and it was a really good foundation, free foundation
Hmm.
for what Adobe Illustrator and all the other vector programs that I use every day. um and not only that, but you could set each frame to last a tenth of a second. I think the minimum was only 0.1 seconds. And I would like make my own like TV intros for fake shows and logo animations and things like
Using
that. And I did that
PowerPoint. That's crazy.
day in and day out in PowerPoint. You
Wow.
couldn't export an MP4 or anything, but it would just sit in PowerPoint.
Yeah, you just play it out and then
Yeah,
show your ideal client this presentation, whatnot.
right, exactly. And then I actually ended up going not viral, but semi-viral on YouTube.
Really?
I made a video called Damoose.
The moose. I have to
Um,
look that up.
yeah, just type in Damoose. It's a picture of a moose with a green background. I was probably 8, maybe a little bit older than that. And it's my voice. I recorded it with like my dad's microphone. And um I think it's got like 300,000 views now or something
Oh
like
my
that.
goodness. That's
It's yeah,
hilarious.
my company was called Green Feather Films when I was 8 years old.
When you were 8.
So Green Feather
So
Films
you
is
were,
YouTube, you can still find it.
yeah, you were already famous by the time you were 8 years old.
It wasn't it's famous now. It wasn't famous then.
Oh,
But it
so
had
it just
like a
blew
couple
up
months ago.
overnight. Just
Yeah, a couple months ago it
a couple
resurfaced and
months
people were
ago.
like, I remember
Interesting.
this. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Um Yes, it's been really fun to watch that. But that was made in PowerPoint, and I exported the images from PowerPoint and brought them into a video editing software and put them together. So that was my yeah. It's sort of always been what I've been up to.
Nice.
I went to college. Got my BFA in animation in Boston at a school
Awesome.
called Lesley University
Okay.
College of Art and Design.
Cool.
Um, and right out of college, I got a job at a very small studio called Nimblebot, which is in Cambridge, Mass. And that's basically where I learned After Effects. In college, we were almost exclusively in Flash, and it was very exclusive, not exclusive, but the emphasis was on character narrative based TV and film kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't really
2D.
know what motion graphics was or like how to use After Effects at all
Yeah.
or compositing VFX. We didn't touch that
You knew
stuff.
primarily fat flash type animation.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Um,
So when did you start to learn After Effects then?
when I got my job, right out of college,
Wow.
got this job at Nimblebot, and they said we use After Effects. Do you know how to use After Effects? And I said yes. So I had like a week to learn After Effects,
Love it.
and I did.
There you go. That's the best way to learn it on the
It
job.
is, and I learned so much on the job, and I learned so much at that job.
Yeah.
And then there were some internal changes there. The creative director decided to run for Congress, and so we all kind of became his media team. Um, and that was not where I wanted to be. So I ended up,
He's like, just so you know, I'm running for Congress,
yeah,
and you guys are along for the ride.
yeah, exactly. It was fun. I learned a lot doing that too, but
That's cool.
um, I needed to get out of there. So
Yeah.
I did, and I had learned enough about the business that I thought I could freelance and go off on my own. So I did. And around that time I also got married. So it was like
Cool.
there was like that urgency to make money quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Right. Yeah, I totally understand
um
that. And
yeah.
especially, is this in Chicago too? While you're
No,
still,
that was still in
that's still in
Boston.
Boston. Okay.
Which
So
was very expensive.
yeah.
High cost of living there. And um shortly after that we moved to Chicago. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
um
Yeah. So
yeah,
how'd you start getting clients? Do they just kind of come from that previous job, or did you have to search for them, or?
you know, I can't quite explain where they came from. It is sort of like they came out of the woodwork in a lot of ways.
Interesting.
Um, I ever since high school I've been doing client work, like even not animation, but I do posters and logos and the stuff that everybody does when they're getting started.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, the
Um,
graphic design stuff, get yourself started, get yourself out there, yeah.
yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that. So I had some repeat customers and clients from that side of the business, but then um relatives of relatives and friends of friends and people who are sort of in my social circle. um yeah, I don't know exactly where they came. I think part of it could be, I'm Jewish. I'm a religious Jew, and
Hmm.
the religious Jewish community is very tight knit. And that definitely extends into the business world as well. So um a lot of my customers came from people who had heard about me from word of mouth, but within the religious Jewish network. And there aren't a lot of people who do what I do, especially when I got started. There weren't a lot of people who do what I do.
And do it well to add to
Yeah,
that.
I don't know how
Yeah.
good I was at the time, but
I I
right,
I mean, your video's viral.
right,
Your
the
eight your
moose one.
yeah.
I'm excited for you to see it, and just so you know exactly what you're talking
I'm gonna look it up after this,
about.
yeah.
I'll send you a link if you
Okay.
can't find it.
Yeah. Really excited.
Um,
But it's yeah, that goes to show it's like if you find a specific niche
exactly,
that
exactly.
is
So yeah,
untapped, you can I mean people will come to you because you're that one person who does that one thing.
totally.
Yeah.
So I ended up sort of for a while becoming the go-to in that community.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, thank God there's a lot of loyalty there, and I had a lot of a lot of my clients in the beginning came from that bucket.
That's cool. Yeah, and you see that also if you look at um, ordinary folk
Yeah,
in
for sure.
the other religious side of things, more so focused on, um, I guess you could say, um, like Catholic or Protestant religion.
Right.
Um, there's a lot of motion design in that field, and it's beautiful work, and there's a big demand for it.
Yeah,
And yeah, there's an untapped network. There's no, there's a there's a beautiful side to it. So I do
for sure.
appreciate that type of work specifically because it's very you you can do a lot with it. You're telling a
Yeah,
story. You're also bringing life to um, culture
right.
and so many things. So
Right. If you've ever taken art history, right, all the great paintings of history were religious,
yeah.
especially way back when. I think part of that is because religion has a storytelling aspect to it for sure, but also that you're meant to feel it. It's not just explaining, but it's also conveying an experience of the story and making it your own and making it personal. That's what religion, I think, should aim to do. And for sure, that's what ordinary folk is doing. And that's what I'm trying to do with a lot of my religious work as well. Is we're not just explaining what it says, but we're saying here's how it and showing visually here's how it's you as well.
Yeah, like in your in the previous one you did. Um, see, I'm trying to
The
remember
Kabbalah video you're
the
talking about?
Kabbalah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
one
for sure.
was beautiful because it you felt the emotion that was put into it, and all the different scenes, and not and obviously amplified with emotion that you put there. Which what by the way, did you animate that? Did you have like 2D
Yeah.
event?
Yeah, that one was me. Yeah.
That's man, you are amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Thank you.
absolutely love it. The
Yeah,
colors and
we
everything.
struggled planning that video because Kabbalah, which a lot of people don't know about Kabbalah, but those that do, it's a very technical discipline. Like in order to explain what Kabbalah is, would take like 5 or 6 minutes to just explain what it is. And then to explain the
Hmm.
different concepts, you could give hours long lectures on the basic precepts of Kabbalah. So we were like,
Hmm.
okay, we have 60 seconds, right? How do we pitch it's a promo for a course, right? So we want people to be intrigued enough to want to learn more. And so what the idea that I ended up pitching them was, let's just show what it feels like once you understand it,
Yeah, the feeling.
right?
That's really
Right.
what
The feeling of
you see.
studying Kabbalah, right? Rather than trying to explain what it is too much. And
Hmm.
so like the script is very poetic, and the visuals, all of the visuals allude to like major Kabbalistic ideas, but without trying to explain exactly like what's going on.
Hmm.
Um,
I like that. Yeah,
yeah, so I think that
you're
speaks to what you were talking about before, right? That like, um,
you're kind of dumbing it down in a way where you, and that's kind of the essence of motion design in general is simplifying things for making it more in layman's terms so that people can
mhm.
understand the concept of it. And yeah, to evoke emotions, to gain interest, and maybe maybe sometimes people don't get the entire concept of it, but you produce something that is still intriguing enough for people to want to look into it as well. Because I mean, I look at that video, I'm just it just makes me want to check it out because it's cool.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's the idea.
yeah,
Cool.
that's the idea.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. So
Cool.
yeah. So primarily, you guys do 2D animation, right? Because
Right.
I talked to you at Half Res, and then we asked about Cinema 4D and all that, and you said you primarily do After Effects content,
Yeah,
right?
a little bit of Blender, a little bit of Blender.
A little bit of
Um,
Blender, okay, and that's
but
for
Blender's my side dish, not my main dish.
side dish. Yeah, yeah, you're
Yeah.
specialized in 2D. Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like 2D you can do a lot more with it as well in terms of conveying abstract ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some examples of really, really beautiful abstract. Um, what's the one that this is gonna bother me. The one that went crazy viral a couple of years ago of it was a collaboration between a 3D animator and a 2D animator. It was these shapes that
Um,
just sort of spoke to each other. Um,
I
it's
can't. I,
called
I don't know what you're talking about.
okay, let me take 10 seconds to try to find it.
Yeah, I know there's. I mean, there's a few people I've been seeing on Instagram who, I think his name is uh, Johan or something similar to that, but he uses
Mhm.
2D cell animation in his 3D work, and it's
Oh,
insane.
cool.
Um, but
Very cool.
Janopi Draws, have you heard of him?
No.
So he's been kind of popping off lately, but like in kind of the sense that you're saying, like he's combining. He's not he's I guess he's not fighting with himself, but he's kind of combining these two elements of 2D and 3D work, and it works really well in harmony.
Awesome.
So you can kind of see how they both benefit each other. Um, adds to that like multimedia aspect approach where you can get just a different feel for it. But yeah,
Totally. I found it by the way. It's called
you did.
Between Two and Three.
What is it
Uh,
called?
Between Two and Three.
Two and three.
Exploration about motion. Here, I'll send you the link in the chat here.
Oh, I found it.
Okay.
Nice. I maybe I can pull this up on OBS.
Yeah. The sound is also great if you can get the sound going.
Okay, let's see. Um,
So this was
let's see if that. I
I don't know if you've got it working, but
think it's working.
basically it's a collaboration between a 2D animator and a 3D animator, where the 2D guy made um, a full composition in 2D that had like squash and stretch, it had anticipation and all the stuff that is much harder to do in with like the rigidity of 3D. But he did it, I'm pretty sure, by hand, and then gave that to a 3D animator to copy and translate into 3D.
Huh.
And when you
So,
watch,
oh, I see. So in essence, if you have 2D reference, you can make 3D look as
right,
expressive as 2D.
right,
Interesting. I
exactly.
like that
So,
approach.
but even if you just understand the principles of 2D and you can somehow bring that into 3D, um, I also remember a while ago, like maybe 10 years ago now, Looney Tunes did Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner in 3D. Did you see that?
Um, I Okay, I've been seeing a lot of really cool things in 3D that look like two. Did you see the Blender animation, the new Blender film?
No.
That was really good too because I mean, it looks like it's 2D film.
Oh, Wing It?
I think it was Wing It, yeah. Let's see. Um,
Oh, cool. Oh, wow.
it's insane, yeah.
And that's what is that? The grease pencil or
I I believe they used like a combination of grease pencil. They used a bunch of shading techniques,
I guess.
a lot of different things. Yeah, so they did a really good job with it, and they used procedural smoke, so they could just draw a line, and it would just create the smoke for them, which is really interesting.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, very cool. That's
yeah,
from 2 weeks ago.
yeah. It just came out, so. But I
That's
was
awesome.
talking to like one of my clients, and I showed them this project because we're working on a animated intro for their potential TV show. So we're doing frame by frame animation, all that. And I showed it to them like this is a really cool potential idea for down the line because you could, you could do this same quality in maybe half the time. Obviously, you'd have to have the right amount of hands on deck and whatnot to make it happen.
Right.
But yeah, like there's so much potential for it, especially TV shows and whatnot. I really feel like everything is going towards 3D in the sense of like entertainment. Because you don't like you see 2D in motion design for commercial work, but for entertainment, you're seeing a bit of a shift. Like I talked with a studio up in Canada, and they said that they're trying to shift a little. They're getting projects mainly in 3D. Those are the more recurring projects, and they're trying to shift their focus so they can streamline things there because 2D animation is a bit of a process when it comes to character animation. So yeah, so I'm like, if you could find an approach that's more streamlined and it looks 2D, then go for it. So
Right. Totally.
yeah,
Cool.
um,
Cool.
yeah, yeah. So okay, so you've been in Chicago for how long then?
5 years, about 4 years.
4 years. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how's it like being there versus in Boston then?
You're asking like in terms of the motion design.
Yeah, I guess in terms of motion design, in terms of like pricing, in terms of opportunity, all of that.
Yeah. Well, I'll say I moved here like right before COVID. So everything went remote. All of my clients have sort of always been remote. So it never really mattered where I lived.
Oh, gotcha. That's
Um,
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, so you can work for
We moved here because
wherever you want.
this is where I grew up. This is where my parents are. And
Yeah.
um, when you're having a baby, it's nice to be near grandparents.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's why we
Makes
ended up
sense.
here, free babysitting. Um, and Yeah, I moved here mostly for other reasons, but I'm really excited. I've only just begun to tap into the motion community here, which is why, it's my first half res,
Yeah.
my first time sort of getting to know the motion community outside of my own four walls. So
Yeah.
it's hard for me to compare. Um,
Yeah, because Boston must have had events like that. Is
yeah.
Chicago a little bit more tight knit, have more opportunities?
I wouldn't say that. Boston has a few studios that focus on, at least when I was there, they focused on TV animation. Like a lot of
Okay.
PBS shows were made in Boston. I actually did an internship at Arthur. Um,
Arthur, like the
Arthur the
TV.
Aardvark. Yeah. That was
Oh, awesome.
yeah, they're produced in Boston, WGBH.
Wow.
Um, so I had nothing to do with animation. I was answering Arthur's emails as Arthur.
Love
That was my
it. Hey,
internship. Yeah.
Still part of
It
the
was cool
team.
because they gave me access to all of the show logs,
Cool.
um, and all of the all previous scripts of every 20 years of Arthur. So
Wow, that's really cool.
what was cool is that I got to first of all see the entire production pipeline. I got to see storyboards of current episodes and past episodes that I grew up with, and everything was all in these folders that I had access to. But the reason why they gave me access to all that is because a kid would email saying like, "Dear Arthur, do you know karate?"
Hmm.
And I would have to be able to answer accurately whether or not Arthur knows karate. So I would be able to search the archives and figure out
Huh.
whether Arthur. It was really cool.
So you
Nothing to
became
do
you
with
became kind of like the brains for Arthur in a sense.
right and the social media and email fan mail.
Huh. That's really
Yeah,
interesting. So there's a bit of nostalgia there for you as well.
it was awesome. That was really really cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
Man.
but Boston is very focused on TV animation
Yeah.
and character based Flash stuff and more so more After Effects stuff now, but in terms of like you know the community there that I got to know was was that world pretty much. Um,
Gotcha. Okay. Does that
so
seem to me? It seems to be more common along the coast to be more entertainment TV
that would make sense.
focused. Because you look
That
at
makes sense.
LA, a lot of it is commercial TV. You look at New York, a lot of it's commercial TV. Boston, is that a
Right.
common thing? Do you think if we go more inland, it's just
More
a little bit?
advertising. I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't really speak to that. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Just a
But
theory.
as far as like get-togethers, I remember there was like a monthly drink and draw in Boston.
Cool.
Everybody meet up in a bar and draw.
Nice. Yeah, so that was pretty much, I know you didn't get to go to Half Res, but that was pretty much what Half Res was like.
Okay,
It
cool.
was pretty much a casual get together socialization event. So,
Mhm.
we just hung out and talked the whole time. And yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome.
Uh, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that I was able to make it your first time to that event. So that makes me feel really good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we only have a few minutes left, but I want to hear about your journey and
Sure.
what you
Of
do.
course. Yeah, yeah. So my journey has been primarily social related. So I've focused on my Instagram for 8 9 years, and that's kind
Oh
of how
wow.
I got into motion design. So I always loved creating these little character animation videos,
Mm,
and I did that probably. I mean, every time I had a break, I would just spend it doing these videos, and was obsessed with it. I created a brand and everything, and studied architecture for a little bit, decided that wasn't for me, and then went off to Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona, studied animation with an emphasis in entertainment. So I learned Maya and After Effects, the Adobe Suite, and all this stuff in design for the graphic design side of things. And you're right, like I started off with graphic design. That's how I got into the industry, and then
yeah.
got a few animation projects, went from there. And so I've been freelancing for about 3 years now and got a part time job in between there. And um,
Cool.
yeah, so it's been a good journey so far. So um,
Are most of your freelance clients like studios, agencies, or are you direct to client usually?
a
What do you
lot of
find?
it is direct to client. I work occasionally with studios.
Same.
Depend, yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
and that's primarily just because of the way I set it up. I like to work direct to client. It's a lot more personable. You can have more control over the project and
Yeah.
more creative freedom. So yeah, it's more fun that way. So, and
Cool.
plus, if you're getting referrals, if people are coming to you, most of the time they are direct clients. Um, and you kind of, it seems like you have to reach out to agencies to get on their list. Agencies don't necessarily reach out to you. That's my experience, but
Yeah.
um, yeah. So, but
Cool.
yeah. So yeah. So as far as your goals for your company, it's Sufrin TV.
Yep.
What are your goals for the next 3 years?
Um, Pretty clear cut. I wanna grow to have a full-time staff.
Cool.
Right now it's just me and a bunch of freelancers, but
Cool.
and each project sort of like has its own every the team I'll like make a bespoke team of freelancers basically for each project. If I need freelancers, some of them I prefer to work on myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Depending on the availability and the type of project.
Mhm, mhm.
But I would love to have a brick and mortar studio in you said 3 years, probably 5 years.
5 years. Yeah, that's a
That's
really good
my
goal.
yeah,
So you want to add some stability to the company itself. Have some how many full time staff? Maybe
3 or 4
three or four. Yeah.
to start. Yeah, and then yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to get
Heck yeah.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then you'll be right next to Zarkovsky.
yeah, right, right, right.
And then you'll join forces. Yeah.
Man, they're awesome.
They're really cool. Yeah. I
Did
think
you go to their thing?
I did. I talked to them and I asked how many employees they had. They said they had like 40 full time staff. Like,
Yeah,
dang,
it's awesome.
that's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Did
Yeah.
you get to meet Aaron?
I met Stefan
Okay.
and I might have met Aaron, but I was very focused working on
Hmm.
that 3 frames that they gave us. So that will come out in October, I believe, early
Cool.
October. So played
Very
around with
cool.
Cinema 4D and whatnot. Yeah, um, yeah, that was really fun. Man, so many
Fantastic.
good memories. Yeah. So you're definitely gonna plan on going back to half res next year then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go every year now. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
Oh
Huge
man.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's such a blast meeting all those cool people, and I mean, it's always different because I mean, you also see people from all over the world. Like, I think I met a few people from Europe, a few people from, um, I think there's like one person from Africa, someone from Asia. It's all over.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a cool event.
Cool.
Um, but anyway, yeah. Well, it was a great chatting with you. Looks like our
Yeah.
time is up here, but yeah. You wanna if you wanna throw me a image of you, I can post this on LinkedIn, and then we can talk about this more on LinkedIn and whatnot, and share it with
Cool.
the world. So yeah,
I'll make a note to myself to send you a picture.
cool,
Cool.
cool, awesome. Yeah, thanks
All
so
right,
much
Cody.
for
Thank
taking
you
the
so
time to
much.
chat. Yeah,
Of course. Thank you.
have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too.
Cool.
Take care.
See you later.